TYT Sports, everybody. The All-Star's back.
Where is he?
The soccer guy.
Oh, he's right here.
I'm sorry, football.
Well, football is the topic of the recent month, is it not, Jayar?
Man,
Even you're watching.
It is footballs. Because specifically, the Mexican soccer team made some waves at the beginning of this year's World Cup, as we already know, by knocking off the defending champions, of course, in group play. So, I mean, it's not like it was all over or anything. For you football guys who don't know what you're talking about, there's group play. And what you have to lose you have to have winner come out of the group, and then we go to the elimination play. Come on, let's keep this real. I think I messed that up anyway.
No, you got it. That's pretty much the consensus. 2 teams come out of the group.
See, that's what I'm saying.
2 teams.
You just misheard me. I said 2 teams come out of the
Mexico,
group.
you're absolutely right. They knocked off.
They knocked off the defending champions. But you know what? Before that, there was a
few knocking offs.
There's a couple of things that got knocked off before. So there was a bit of a sex scandal with the Mexican team previous to this World Cup starting. So the gossip magazine TV Notas revealed some photographs and details of how 8 members of the Mexican squad had attended a party with escorts in Mexico City following the 1-0 warm-up victory over Scotland.
Yeah, because how else do you celebrate beating Scotland than having a sex party with some
This truly was a scandal. So, I mean, it is definitely not involving with the young model on the right side, but it's the pictures right in the middle. La verdadera despedida del Tri. Yeah. So, what's del Tri? What is that?
Is it those? I know
that's,
3 is
that's
3.
That's like the nickname for those guys.
Yeah,
for these particular
3.
players. So they apparently had 25 to 30 escorts and prostitutes at this party that went all night. And after this came out, next thing, people took it very badly and criticized the players. Journalist Alonso Cabral of Televisa Deportes told Bleacher Report, it did not matter that it was their day off. They did something that was not right, especially 2 weeks before the World Cup.
Oh, my God.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
What do you mean? The part where it says, especially 2 weeks before the World Cup.
So there's a theory that I'll put out as a fun theory that's probably have no facts in it whatsoever, but it's going to lead into the next story. Well, maybe they thought we got to get it in before the tournament because a lot of managers have a strict no-sex policy through the World Cup. We've done clips on this before where teams, Germany in the past, have been like, nope. Like, of all teams that were going to have a no-sex policy, I think Germany is the one that most people would have went, yeah, they're definitely having a no. They are too strict and too drilled as a machine. They're not having it. But the realistic thing is, it's not okay, and it shouldn't have been. It was a scandal. I remember reading about the story back when it happened. Some people were calling for the players to not be invited. I think Hector Herrera, Giovanni Dos Santos, and I think it was Raul Jimenez. Those are 3 crucial players to them as well. So that's the thing. I think that most people, when it comes to the World Cup, are like, it's bad, but we need them. Like they'll literally will put everything aside unless it's so bad that they don't want to look. They literally can't turn away. But they wanted those players to be there. But it does pose a question, which I'm sure we'll lead into, is like, what is the accurate response to something like that?
There's another part of it. There's another part of that article. Some people said the players involved should be punished by not going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
They got involved with escorts and hookers. Most of them have families and are married men. Hector Herrera had to fly home. This is the crazy part. Hector Herrera had to fly from Denmark to Portugal, where his wife lives, so he could talk with her. That wasn't good for the team. This is Hector and his
well, I think the conversation must have went well because Hector was playing against Germany and he had a very good game. So his head must have still been on the game after that. But yeah, I don't know.
This is personal problems. This is the thing. Okay, if your wife is upset with you because you're out there with prostitutes and escorts, okay.
Yeah.
That's the personal thing that's happening in your life, and you have to go take care of that. That's a hell of a flight to have to go have that conversation. Imagine how long that flight is when you're having to think about what you have to get into.
Think about what she's going to do or responding, man. And the funny thing is, it's not really funny, but it's the real thing that happens in these World Cups, is like you have so much pressure on you as a national team, right? And you have so much focus on what you have to do. In the past, some of these like scandals, whether it's something to do with players conflicting with each other or things that are going off the field, they can immediately like just destabilize an entire team. I remember, everyone remembers the meltdown of the French national team a few years ago where they had fights with the coaches, players were storming off the training field, Patrice Evra was involved in. That just, like, you have such a small space of time to bind together and you need to be united. You can't have any sort of mishaps going on, especially during the tournament. And I think that's why in the next story we had a lot is like coaches literally are like, no sex, no wives even. Like some of them are they just have limited times where they see their partners, and that's to all kind of keep the team focused on the specific task.
We were both athletes. Does that make sense to you?
No, it never did to me. But I mean, I'm not at that level of intensity. I talked about this with Robert yesterday. The World Cup is a different animal on its own. Like, you have players like Lionel Messi who handles an insurmountable amount of pressure all the time playing for Barcelona. But the national team, there is pundits who go on TV and they say they have never felt a pressure like that in their life. Like, it's the entire nation looking at you and expecting you to do this. Like, what happened with Spain and Portugal, David De Gea, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, made a mistake that is just so out of his character. And what I attest it to is him just kind of losing focus. And I think that level of pressure, you need an escape from that. And to me, in my opinion, when I didn't play at that level, but when I was focused on the game, I loved going and seeing my friends and escaping from that world and my girlfriend. And I think that players need that escape sometimes. You know, I'm not saying go and have parties with sex workers or whatever it is, but I think that the no, like, sex ban and not seeing your wife or whatever for a certain period of time, I don't know, man.
It gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
Again, there's already, as you mentioned, there's enough pressure already on the actual field of play.
Yeah, so
then
much
it's
so.
then it's afterwards. You have to always think about it when you're in the hotel room. You have to think about it while you're eating. You have to think about it. And by the way, so there was a ban, you mentioned. The German team this year, who ironically lost to this Mexican team in the opening opening match, they actually did have a sex ban, but they were allowed to have alcohol. He said because they want them to be able to band together and relax.
Interesting.
So I think it really is, he feels that it's strictly like if you have some kind of sexual release, it's not, as we see the tweet here from the Mirror of Football who pointed that out, it feels like there's some kind of sexual release that's detrimental, but a release with drinking isn't.
That's interesting. And in that game they played against Mexico, how many goals did Germany score again? 0. So would you say they had blue balls?
Nil balls. I mean, what else can you do there?
Here all week. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think that we'll have to see how Germany play for the rest of the tournament, but I've never been a fan of that kind of strict policy. But certainly, I mean, Germany won the World Cup, so who am I to sit here and give my opinion on this before?
Doesn't it kind of make it seem like this isn't a factor?
Yeah.
One team that does, another team that doesn't, yet they win and they also lose and they've won and they've lost. It looks like there's no real science to this.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
I realize they find their own spot.
All of my athletes out there, go ahead and comment. Let me know what you guys think.
Yeah,
Did you have sex right before a big game? And did you come out flat-footed, knees buckled?
Did you have?
If you did, then you probably were gonna have your knees buckled anyway. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This is my opinion. We'll see you guys later. 2IT Sports. Have fun there.